Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Well, as you know, it is back to school time for students all across the country. And if you're a parent with a college freshman, that transition really has its challenges. So joining us this morning to guide us is Hartford Healthcare's Dr. Cheryl Valise, a child and adolescent psychiatrist with St. Vincent's Behavioral Health in Westport. Doctor, first of all, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
I know that this first college semester can be very stressful for everyone involved, the students, the parents. It's just a lot to take on. Talk to us about this. What can a parent say or do if a student does seem to be a bit homesick and just wants to come back?
As you said, so that first semester, it's such a huge transition for students, parents alike. It's exciting, but there are a lot of emotions that are involved, and that's completely normal. In regards to homesickness, it's such a common issue. I often suggest to parents to acknowledge and validate those emotions. Say something to the effect of, it makes sense you miss home. This is a big change. Encourage your students to give themselves time, get involved in campus activities, create routines that bring comfort, like calling at set times or bringing some familiar items from home. Encourage them to get out of their comfort zone a little bit for those first few tough weeks.
You know, it's been a while since I was in college, but I do remember the suggestion, the 6-week wait. Stay there for 6 to 8 weeks, let yourself settle in before you are allowed to go home, essentially, so that you kind of experience life on campus and give it a fair shot. Is that really like a fair estimate of time to, suggest that a student perhaps stay away from home? Yeah, of course, you want them to go home if that's really what they want, but what would you suggest as far as time goes?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Every individual is going to be very different. It just depends on the person themselves. It might be helpful just to do a couple of, short visits home, maybe on the weekends initially, and then expand that transition as time goes on, or just space it out a little bit more.
And it's obviously a different experience when you're living with a roommate, someone that you have never lived with before, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. How can a parent address that if there's a real problem with a roommate?
Right. So not every roommate pairing is going to feel like a perfect match, but parents can guide their students to approach issues respectfully, communicate directly. Things like sleep schedules, noise levels, or guests can usually be worked out. But if not, and despite their best efforts, there are resident advisors and housing staff that are trained to help mediate and problem solve. Encourage them to reach out.
All right, and this is tough, but what if your child is suggesting that they would like to transfer, kind of give up on the school that they're attending now and go somewhere else, maybe where they know more people?
Right. So that question often comes up a lot. And it's natural to wonder, did I choose the right school? Is this the right major? Is this what I want? Before making a big decision like transferring or dropping out, even, I encourage students again, give it some time, at least a semester or so. And before those adjustment pains are often, just keeping in mind these are temporary adjustment pains. Most students typically settle in, and once they find their stride, they've often feel a little bit better. However, if problems still persist, then exploring options and getting some guidance with academic advisors makes sense.
Okay, and any other suggestions for making friends? I mean, obviously at this point in their lives, they've made friends before, but when you're in that new environment, it could just be really stressful, especially when you are in perhaps a city that you've never lived in before. What do you suggest? How can people find comfort and meet people safely?
Yeah, so making new friends, it may not happen overnight and can take some time. Encourage your student to explore some new clubs, attend dorm events, check out booths during freshman orientation, or just simply turn to their classmate when they're sitting in class before a lecture and introduce themselves. Remind them that small efforts can open doors to friendships.
All right, Dr. Cheryl Valise with St. Vincent's. I want to thank you so much for your time today. Really important information here. We just want everyone to have a great school year, make friends, and just feel comfortable in their environment. Thanks for your time today and your suggestions.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and we'll be right back after this.